I'd like to call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda, or prior to the agenda, is public comment. Do I have any public comment? Do I have any public comment? Do I have any public comment? Hearing none, I need a motion to acknowledge the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next item is to meet with the ambulance, no, excuse me, the county engineer.
Well, good morning.
Morning.
And other supervisors, Dee and me. Hope you all had a pleasant weekend. We got a little bit of moisture down here over the weekend.
That we did.
We did not get much up in the North Country. We'll survive. We're pretty well finished with nutmeg. We're doing some additional rolling just to seep the rock in a little bit better into the asphalt binder. We'll have that fully open for traffic at the end of the day today. Got Dennis Peebler out there pulling our rubber roller with the tractor just to get a little additional compaction on that, work that surface aggregate into the base a little bit better. Pelling is on Larch, finishing applying the choke stone on top of the stabilized base, and we will seal that tomorrow and Wednesday. After that, they will move over to Juniper to start working on that road. Hopefully. So you got Juniper, Ditch Rock, and then 185th and Jasmine. So end of next week, we ought to have it all buttoned up. The maintenance crews are out on Salina Road installing edge rock, which brings the rock shoulder up flush with the pavement, so you don't have a wheel catcher, people run off the edge.
What part of Salina Road?
They were doing the west 2 miles last week. They should be transitioning to the east towards Germanville Road now. I don't know exactly where they're at on that. On another item, our metal culvert supplier dropped the ball on our pipe order, the last one, and which gave us an incentive to look around for other suppliers. And we found another supplier in Lowmore, Iowa, which is up in Clinton County, who is considerably less expensive. So we have ordered a shipment from that supplier. And it's not a lot of money, but they're going to save us about $5,000 for 2 loads of pipe, which every little bit counts. So we will proceed with these guys, and as we rotate our stock and get through our metal culvert pipe that we have in stock, once we get through that, we will change our pricing to reflect the lower cost that the county has, to pass that savings on to the county residents who buy pipe from us. Which again, it's not a lot, but
It's okay. Every little bit helps.
Yeah. Let's see, Melissa has submitted our annual report. They kicked it back with a couple of comments for things that we needed to change. We've got that swapped back in, so we should be on target with that.
Thank you for that.
Other than that, we're just working on plans, and Thomas is still wading through the audit for our bridge projects from last year. We did get environmental and archaeological approval on the Libertyville Road Bridge, so we can proceed to final design on that. But the letting date will be kicked back into sometime early winter of 2024. So I'm guessing January or February letting on that project.
I got a question, since you brought up bridges. There was a report issue, and I'm sure you're well aware of it, that documenting all of the deficient bridges
Mhm.
in the state. And listening to some conversation, and I had never thought about this before, but it makes perfect sense, I guess. A lot of those deficient bridges actually are not structurally unsound, but rather, as I understand it, regulations change. So if we built a bridge or redid a bridge 5 years ago, and the regulations have changed on that particular type of bridge in the last 5 years, that makes that bridge technically deficient because it doesn't meet the current rules and regulations.
Yes and no.
Okay.
It doesn't affect the posting. So their terminology is really confusing and misleading. So a bridge that is structurally deficient can be a bridge that's posted at a 40-ton load limit. It's still structurally deficient because it's not capable of carrying the full 80-ton or 112,000, 80,000 pound, 112. I think 112 is what our tag is on that. So it's still usable. It's not a danger, but it's not perfect. And they're have changed to a 10-point rating system for each of the bridge structural features now. And a lot of our bridges are in the 4 to 7 range, which is at a 7, you're not needing to post it for a load limit. And then once you start ticking down to 4, you might end up with a 25-ton bridge. What we're really concerned about is the 3 and below, when bridges get down to 15 tons or 10 tons or a 3-ton bridge limit. Right now, the DOT every year does has a bridge condition spreadsheet, and which is how we received our grant for Libertyville Road.
Okay.
So our bridge, the Libertyville Road Bridge, was one of the worst, absolute worst in the state, based on the traffic that the road carries and the load condition. Load wise, it's rated to have 1 fully loaded truck at a time on it. So you couldn't have 2 trucks passing on the bridge. So we didn't have a huge load reduction on it, but because of the traffic, it dropped the condition of the bridge such that we could get that grant.
Yeah.
We only have, I believe, 4 other bridges in the county that even make that list of 500. So yes, we have bad bridges in Jefferson County, but by comparison to the rest of the state, we're not in that bad a shape.
Yeah, I just, like I said, listened to the conversation. I like the terminology as far as somewhat misleading
Yeah.
when they make those
So
statements.
they've got good, fair, structurally deficient, and functionally obsolete. And the functionally obsolete are the ones that you need to worry about. And we do what we can with what we have.
I get it. Yep. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Moving on. Next item on the agenda is discuss and consider pay certificate, for Brandon Coleman.
Yes.
I believe he's yours.
Mr. Coleman is a member of the secondary road department. He was a certified ag technician in his previous job. And when he was hired on here a handful of years ago, he was told that he didn't need that certification, but he kept it up. And at our last safety meeting, we were discussing upcoming training season during the winter. And Brandon mentioned that he'd had that, but he was told he didn't need it. And I said, well, yeah, but if you want to help us out with certified testing and inspection when we need it, we'll pay you. Not a lot, but it's a quarter an hour for a certification and then a dime for anything beyond that. And at first he was a little hesitant, but he thought about it for a couple of days and came back to us and said that he thought it'd be a good thing to help us out. And with the bridge project coming up and some of the other things we hope to have going on next year, we're going to need additional inspectors and certified technicians. And by utilizing members of the road crew, we're not hiring a office technician just to lighten the load when we need it. So in my mind, that is a good use of our money. So
Right.
we're asking, I believe, for a quarter an hour additional for Brandon Coleman
I'm
at
gonna
this
make a
time.
motion that we approve this resolution.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Right.
Motion passed. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is discuss and consider resolution for Jefferson County Sheriff's Office for step increase. Did you want to say
You
something
skipped
else?
one. We have a public hearing on a road reclassification.
I'm so excited to talk to Bart.
I'd like to see us table this until like January unless there's any rush because of the farm season starting. And I think there's gonna be some people that want to come in and talk about that.
Well, actually, the guy that we're doing, that is requesting this, he's the farmer on that road and
Okay, so tell us.
he would like to get it done before harvest. So if he gets a rain, he can get, so right now when
So where are they doing this?
this is at 200th over in, it's be north of Batavia.
Okay.
And the farmstead sits at the corner of 200th and Packwood Road. And for whatever reason, when they dropped that to a level B,
So we're,
Where's 200?
right over,
Go west off the path.
Okay.
it's gonna be up here.
Right here. 200th Street.
What's out here?
Yeah, right here. So Mr. Black, I don't think that's his name now. This is correct name. But the gravel stops at his house and another 500 feet down the road is where his sheds are, his barns and all of his equipment. And that's the main access into his fields. So he asked that we, well, he's buying the rock, we're supplying
Oh, okay.
the labor and equipment. And
So
that's,
he's adding rocks so he can get to his shed.
yeah, just so he has all weather access
Okay.
to his shed. And it is in part of our ordinance that if the landowner pays for the rock, the county takes care of the rest of it.
Can you refresh our memories on how much it is per mile or whatever for rock to do that for him?
It's gonna cost him, I think, $3,500,
Okay.
give or take.
And how long was it again?
It's 500 feet, so
That's what I
it's
thought you
basically 300 tons of rock, and the price of rock is.
Okay. All right, then that makes sense.
But we discussed the cost with him and he was fine with it.
Okay.
I'll see
Yeah,
if
so
we
we
start
proceed.
that public hearing.
I would say for the person that has to put the notice in the paper, October 2nd would be.
Okay.
a little bit- I mean,
No, it's fine.
unless Melissa has it ready, I know the paper's deadline's just. They're so short.
Yeah. I'll have her get it in.
So I just have a question. So where you put the 500 feet, you put the rocks, so then what we're basically, if I'm understanding correctly, we're going to more or less move the sign. In other words, the classification will still be a B road
Yes,
beyond that.
beyond that, yep. Yeah, we're just adding, bringing the next 500 feet up to the level there.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to set the date and time for public hearing on road reclassification for 200th Street. And should we add kind of where that's at, or just 200th Street,
Yeah, probably should west of Packwood
west
Road.
of Backwood Road? It's October 2nd at what, 9 a.m.?
The second motion.
We have a motion and a second. I was trying to see if we needed one, but anyway, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Dwayne, thank you.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Thank you.
Oh, I got one thing for you. Pipeline, ISAC's doing a pipeline study.
Oh,
and
we-
That
oh,
soil
did you guys
compaction.
receive the email from Heartland that they are suspending all actions at this time?
Can you forward that to
Yeah.
us? I've heard
That
things
sh-
on the news.
That showed up Friday. They are basically putting everything on hold. I guess they're waiting to see what the utility board does with Summit.
Anyway, this is the preliminary study for minimizing excessive soil compaction during construction utilities on wet soil
Mhm.
that ISAC contracted with Iowa State University to do.
Mhm.
And there's going to be a webinar coming up. I'll send that to you, but I also thought if you want to send it on to French Rediker, it'd be helpful, even if this pipeline is suspended, there'll probably be, it's just good to know. Because it has to do with how much weight the equipment is and how compacted the soil gets when it gets wet. To see how much damage they're doing if it's too wet. So,
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Discuss and consider resolution in the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office for a step increase for Deputy Brian Burnett.
Hi.
Hi.
So yeah, Brian's reaching his 1 year at October 1st, so he's been at a decreased pay. This would bring him up to the regular pay as a deputy sheriff, October 1.
okay, I'll make a motion to approve this.
I'll second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
He's done a great job wherever I've seen
He's
him.
done a wonderful job. He's a great guy.
The next item on the agenda is discuss and consider resolution hiring correctional officer Ashley Corrin in the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, yes, we recently hired Ashley. She started Saturday. She's replacing a position that's been open. We've had an open female correction officer position open for maybe a couple months now, I think. So she's replacing that position. And she's at a reduced rate too for 1 year.
A motion to approve.
Second,
Does this have any date effective that you said you hired her Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
I guess there's no date on this, so.
You should have a
it
date.
says
Yes,
start
start
date
date.
Well,
September
they can still
16th.
date, we can fill it in. So
You're on
You have?
the, yeah, it's the next one, number 4.
September 16th.
okay. Do we have a motion and a second?
Yes.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda. Discuss and consider resolution hiring correctional officer Ronald Kruger in the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, Ronald will start October 3rd. I think he had to give some notice to his previous employer. But he is replacing a current position that recently came open. We had somebody that worked back there that was in the National Guard. He originally took a full-time position with the Guard. So Ronald's filling that position.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Bart, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
That's right.
Bart, did I hear you're utilizing the reserves a little bit more?
Yes, yes.
I'm happy to hear
We
that.
recently added 2 more reserves.
I've heard that.
Who were former deputies.
I've heard that.
So we welcome them and we look forward to them providing some time.
Thank you very much for that. Next item on the agenda is to consider a fund transfer. Abby, do you want to tell us about this?
I don't really know a whole lot. I know Shannon talked to a couple of you, or if not all of you.
Mhm.
It has to do with the CARES money.
Yeah,
being moved from general basic. From the special board of health fund to the general basic fund. That's all I know.
sure. Whereas Jefferson County received $17,395.81 in CARES funding on November 24th, 2020, and whereas these funds could only be expended on appropriate public health response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and whereas these funds were deposited in the special board of health, and whereas there was a budget amendment on June 28th of 21 for hazard pay for the Jefferson County healthcare employees for COVID-19 related services to be paid from the CARES funding. And whereas the hazard pay was expended from the general basic fund, and whereas it is desired to transfer $17,395.81 from the special board of health fund to the general basic fund to reimburse the general basic fund for the CARES expenses in that amount. And whereas said operating transfers are in accordance with the Code of Iowa, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Jefferson County as follows. The sum of $17,395.81 is ordered to be transferred from the Special Board of Health Fund to the General Basic Fund effective September 18th, 2023. The auditor is directed to correct his books accordingly and to notify the treasurer of this transfer, or notify the treasurer of this operating transfer, occupying the notification with us. Copy of this resolution in the record of its adoption. The above and foregoing resolution was adopted by the Board of Supervisors of Jefferson County effective September 18th, 2023. And the vote herein is as follows. Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you very much, Abby. Basically, it's just correcting, putting us the way it should have been done. Next item is to discuss and consider discuss and consider liquor license for Cedar Valley Winery.
I'll make a motion. Oh, any reason not to? No. Motion approved.
Motion to approve, we have a second.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Let's see.
Next item is to discuss and consider abating taxes at 1445 Walnut Avenue, Brighton, Iowa.
Oh, this has to do with trustees of Walnut Township. Does this have to do with the seminary? It's $2. Cemetery, it's $2.
I'm not sure.
Yes,
Okay. that's what I
there's
thought.
the tax bill on the.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lose any sleep over the $2, but
Why?
why now? I mean,
I know.
like, it hasn't happened before.
They purchased it last September.
Okay.
The deed is in there as well.
Okay.
It seems to me as through the years, there's been ongoing something up there, and there was a little bit of land changing hand, and I think this probably is, you know how these things always happen over time, so that would make sense.
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor
Aye.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Discuss and consider ambulance transition plan.
Well, I think, in as much as we're meeting with the attorneys at 1 PM, that this probably ought to just be
Wait till then.
not moved on or talked about or whatever.
It's fine.
You wanna wait?
Isn't that meeting about something else though,
Yeah.
not about this specific transition plan? But I mean, I don't know.
It is, it's
I think that meeting might be about something else, but I don't know.
Well, it was my understanding that it had, in part, had to do with potential arrangements for transfer, or, transferring the ambulance.
Because the meeting with Mr. Libby,
I don't know anything about Mr. Libby.
I thought he was gonna be at that meeting.
There's a meeting tomorrow, the three-legged stool meets. Ambulance board.
I just,
That's the one that we
You wanna
have.
table it or, yeah.
based on a conversation I had with Chauncey last week, that was going to be part of the discussion was, and I'll leave it at that.
Well, I'm not sure how we can discuss it since our director isn't here anymore.
Right.
So,
Well, he was at the same meeting, and so that's what we were told.
okay,
So maybe that's why he's not here, is what you're saying. The only thing he has to discuss will be discussed this afternoon.
Yeah.
okay.
There's nothing else.
I was under the impression we were discussing something else this afternoon. But in light of our ambulance director not being here, I agree with Lee. We should put that off at least till next week then.
I could go downstairs and see if he's here.
I'm sure he can tell time.
Okay.
Okay. Make committee, Lee, do you have any committees to report?
Yeah, and just a reminder, Susie, that I have ECI today at 4 that you're going to cover for me, so I appreciate that.
Lee,
I'll take that as a no.
I did my time.
Okay, yeah, we had Russ board meeting this last week and wasn't a lot on there. Obviously, Ollie is still a topic of discussion, but I'm not exactly sure at this point what the board of supervisors is going to do. It's not a critical issue. Seeing as how weeds, I guess, are on the downhill side for this season, but our county sanitarian is retiring.
I'd heard that.
So in light of the fact that he's also our weed commissioner, we at some point here.
Has he retired from the weed commissioner position?
I honestly can't answer that question, but in as
Good
much
question.
as,
good question.
yeah, but in as much as he's not going to be here, my assumption would be that that was indeed be the case. I can reach out and specifically ask. But since that's not part of the Board of Health,
Mhm.
and it comes out of our budget,
We need to figure that out.
yeah.
Okay,
Why don't you talk to him, because I'd hate to assume he was when he wasn't.
Right.
We shouldn't be doing that.
I can do that.
Thanks, Lee.
And basically that was the extent of, I mean, again, we're dealing with Ollie, but there's not much we can do there at this point, so.
I had 8th judicial. Yeah, and that was interesting because this was the first meeting since the state had changed everything from being a board to an advisory committee. So there were a certain number of people that did not attend just because they were protesting that, but they'll attend in the future. But one of the things, very impressed with Dan Fell, the district director. He said that the transition hasn't really impacted his area yet. And so that's been good. There were throughout the state districts, some people chose to retire. He talked a little bit about currently there's 8,800 inmates in prison, which is a high number. And just of those are 800 are in for life. So what that tells us is many of these inmates will be returning to our communities. And so this is what the Judicial Department of Correctional Services does, is help rehabilitate these folks in the district. They do a great job and should be very grateful for that. For the years, they've made a lot of changes in improving that process. And usually have some education. Also had South Iowa Juvenile Detention Meeting. And once a year they go down and meet there. So I got to go see that facility. It's next to the Lee County Jail. And so that was interesting to go see how that's set up. Mental Health Agency of Southeast Iowa, formerly SEAL, met and turned in their annual management plan. So that was that. And all three of us were there Thursday for the ambulance orientation.
This week is my big week, but last week I was at the first day of the ambulance training, which I thought was pretty good. Most of the presenters were very organized. I wish they would have had a better speaker, not the person, but just they had to broadcast the volume themselves. But it was a good opportunity to meet some of the new folks that haven't worked for Just Care Ambulance. And I found those folks to be, I visited with a young man who works at Peoria 2 weeks and then he comes here sometime. And I visited with a couple ladies that are they have a pretty varied background, which impressed me. But it was done very well. And Lee, you were there. We all were there.
Yeah.
Did you have anything come away from that?
I had a lot of long conversations with Dr. Marino while I was there as she was going through the protocols page by page. And we had, I think, all told 19. And a lot of training to conduct over a period of 3 days. And on the final day, they did the driving at the middle school, which very grateful for the middle school to allow use of the parking lot and for Lockridge to allow the use of their ambulance. I think it went well. I think as Susie indicated, the purpose behind this is to make sure that the folks that we have extended offers to are actually competent to be on the rig so that when they go out, I'm speaking in very, 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 very broad terms. But because they work for an ambulance service or have worked for an ambulance service does not necessarily mean they were the best or, whatever the case may be. And we want to make sure, we all do, that we want to make sure that when our residents are in need, that we have the best people
Absolutely.
and that they can do what they're supposed to do. And so that's what this was all about. And I think that it was, again, as Susie indicated, an opportunity for us to meet some of the folks that we've never met before. And I think, you guys jump in here, but I think that generally speaking, they were all excited to be part of Jefferson County's ambulance service. And so I think it went well. Obviously, I didn't do any of the testing or anything, so I can't.
Did you pass?
I didn't.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Yeah, when they said something about blood, I think that was it for me. I was done. So we're all good.
And while I'm at it, Lee, I'm so happy you're participating today at 4 o'clock with the ECI.
All right. Well, I thought it was an experience that you would enjoy.
I had already enjoyed it.
And I enjoyed it before that.
Elizabeth,
And then it wasn't on Zoom.
What are you doing at 4 o'clock?
Something else.
Something.
Good answer.
Whatever you say.
Anyway, next item on the agenda is to allow claims and approve reports, which we will look at.
Check. Yeah, absolutely right. Let us know if they're on fire.
All right, I will.
Is Jacob on?
Yes, he is.
Okay,
He's been on the whole time.
yeah, well, he hasn't had to quit. He got through this pretty fast, so. Were you guys busy on Saturday, Bart?
Yes.
Brett, I saw you all driving something in the parade.
Yes, Brett was right behind me. He was busy at homecoming on Friday,
Oh, yeah,
on Saturday.
and there's no teepee left in town.
Well, you know what? They tried to get my house, but what they only did was give me 5 rolls of toilet paper. I think they're safe for later, because they're not very good at it anymore. There you go.
You didn't go out and offer them pointers?
I never, well, I couldn't.
Well, don't, listen. Are you saying you never did that? Brett,
Sure, no. We did different things when we were in high school.
did you?
Oh, just be happy it wasn't my class. I didn't get the whole Leonard down the county road. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
You could drive down almost every county road and find toilet paper last weekend.
Oh, yeah. It was busy.
Was getting on the elevator this morning downstairs and a gentleman told me that he had saw a student open a car door and rolls of toilet paper just fell out. They picked.
Leftover from COVID, officer, leftover from COVID.
See, that stuff, it's like gold back in 2020. You couldn't find it.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoarding it.
For the next time.
Have you ever heard of anyone's yard being forked? No.
You want to make the motion.
They- Yeah, plastic cutlery, shove them down in the yard, break off the
And then
handle.
get Jacob.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what my class did. It wasn't pleasant.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve $144,973.11.
I second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying yes. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Thank you very much. Next item is work session with the ambulance director who is not here. So we'll move on to update from Jacob Dodds.
Hey, Jacob, I see you're on. Hi.
Hi, Jacob. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Really good.
So as far as an update goes, not really much updated from the update that I presented you guys last week. I'm just still waiting on the revised copy of the protocols with the corrections that were required. And Brian had reached out about potentially doing the inspection on Sunday, which I wanted him to confirm that, but he said it was kind of dependent upon when they got the ambulances back. So I just need to hammer down a date as to when we're going to do this. I'm bringing an extra person with me the day that we do the on-site inspection. So once we have that date, we can get that finalized on the calendars. Sounds like you guys have a meeting tomorrow to discuss that. So I'll be looking for an update on that. Otherwise, that's pretty much where we stand on that end of it.
Okay. Any questions? Any questions?
Oh, no, you sent us an email last week. Let me see if I get anything from it. So on these protocols, I remember seeing something. I know they're pretty important. So, okay, here we go. We just need to make sure to get them to you by when, the 25th?
Yeah, that was the date I gave Brian so that we could review them and make sure that all of the necessary corrections had been made.
So it seems to me is when we're talking this, it's like what, part of what you need is what's gonna happen and then how it's gonna happen, right?
We've got all that handled. We worked on that this weekend, or we had training, and it is handled. Those corrections will be going out to Jacob later today.
Oh, terrific.
Let's talk to Marino.
Do they get reviewed with the members of the ambulance after they're corrected?
Oh, absolutely.
Another meeting?
Yeah, because there'll be those, and those protocols will actually be in the ambulances as well.
That's, yeah, but the idea is that's the minimum standard of care. And so you've gone through 3 days of training. And my assumption is those are on some of the protocols or all of them, all 19. And I would expect there to be some training of the people to say, here are the differences. Here's are the improvements we've made. As opposed to saying, it's in the ambulance, go read it.
No, they were there at the training.
Yeah, but they're being changed.
They were already changed and were at the training.
Hey, where's Brian?
Hey,
Well, that looks like you and Brian. You must have texted him.
no, actually, but I did text Dan, and yes, he is stepping down.
From both.
Yes.
And it's also, many of those things were matters of wording. You know, there was a lot of wording that needed to be changed.
Dr. Marino, could you speak up just a little bit?
I'm trying to figure out where my microphone is. I don't know where it is, but it's
Oh,
really a matter of wording in a lot of those changes. So there's not a lot that fundamentally changes those protocols. It's simply language. Most of it is language. So we hemmed most of that up. It didn't really fundamentally change anything. So I don't think it's something that needs to be thrown out there and let everybody hash all over it and decide what they want to do with it. It's meeting national standards of care. And it's been taken care of.
Thank you, doctor.
So it sounds,
Well, that's most of the issues, there were some issues, there were some old sections of Iowa administrative code that were cited that don't exist anymore. There were some treatments that were listed in there that were outside of the current Iowa EMS scope of practice, and there were some medications listed that were not part of the approved pharmacy formulary for the ambulance service. So those things needed to be adjusted. Most of the rest of the stuff that was in there was in line with the national clinical guidelines, and any training that's been done, it really shouldn't have much impact on that.
And the medicines that he's talking about were ones that we were going to be using during transporting patients from the hospital. So we felt that they needed to be there.
yeah. Hey, Judy, we can go back over the work session. You guys didn't come to. We'll go back around to that. You can explain that.
okay.
Thank you very much.
It sounds like you're gonna get some updated ones, Jacob.
Okay, sounds good.
And they have till next Monday. Is that right?
Well, they said they were gonna send.
We're gonna do this.
We're going to send them today. I just wanted
That's
to
good.
get them done again because her and I and Brian said for the last 2 days after training and worked on them to make sure we had them exactly the way we needed.
I know Lee and her were sitting doing something on
Yeah, and we were
Friday.
going through, and I just finished them up on Saturday.
Okay,
And I went to review them before sending them on to Jacob just to make sure. that
okay.
they-
Are you ready to do that now?
Yep, I can send it as soon as I go downstairs. Yep.
So that the sooner we know that if there's a blip, the
Yep,
better.
and then I'll
we're
get
So
at.
were there any changes made after the training of the personnel that need to be retrained?
No.
Okay.
Everybody looks good.
Okay, Brian, I guess we're back around to the work session with the ambulance director.
Yes.
What do you want to,
Susan,
yes,
before we do that, do we want to go ahead and approve these?
we've already done that.
Oh, you.
Yeah, Dee and I did while you were
Okay,
downstairs.
perfect.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Amount of $144, $144,913.11.
Perfect.
Anyway, tell us what we don't know.
Well, 3 days of training went real well. Everybody was confident. We finished up the D volume.
I was a little worried about that table to the east, but
I'm sorry.
I was a little worried about the table to the east. For table.
All that.
It was just a mess, Suzie. It was just everything scattered all over the floor. It was fine.
No, everything went real well, so.
Had you been here, you would have heard us say that. All three of us thought it went real well.
I had a late night this morning, so I didn't get back till like 2:30 this morning, so.
Who were you at?
Out. I was at the hospital, so.
Oh,
But I'm good.
oh.
So,
Anything else you want to tell us?
let's see. Let me think. I already got a couple hours sleep, so bear with me.
You'll be fine.
Try.
I like the shirt.
You like that? Isn't that cool?
Does Lee know that you took that?
Well, his size was too big for me. I
Susan.
decided I didn't need a mobile
Fit
tent,
anymore.
so I gave it back to him.
The
No, we just did all
supervisor.
training and working on protocols, working with Dr. Mayo and getting all that hashed out. And hopefully we'll get into our building soon.
I don't know, maybe next week.
That's what you said last week.
No, no,
We
no.
getting
I've
there this
always
week?
said the 25th.
Can we get there today, tomorrow?
No. Mm-mm.
Tomorrow, sure.
No. You want to, yes, I can't say what I was going to say. But no, no,
I camp out.
no. He's got a little more stuff to do inside, some windows, some doors. By Friday, it should look really nice.
So the
We should
25th.
be grateful that we're gonna get.
I can't promise the 25th, but I'll let you know as soon as I know.
26th.
Windows are here though, so that's good news.
Yeah, they've done a great job of getting that.
They have,
together.
they've done, when her and I went over there, it was a good job. Tomorrow we got that ambulance session at 8 with Bob Libby.
He's a three-legged milk stool, and I hope Mr. Libby attends. As I hope you're there.
Well, I plan on being there.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
And
I wanted to say something too. Julie Greason had said that our ambulance, I think it was 51, right?
52.
52 was scheduled to go to Fessler's, and she showed me the paper. I called Fessler's and they said they have no record, if anything. So I called Fessler's and I got it going in on October the 2nd.
Good.
So,
And to that point, right now 52 is sitting in Mount Pleasant and appears to have nothing being done to it
right.
at Wally's World or whatever. I don't know the name of it.
where?
It's on the main drag going in, as you're coming into Mount Pleasant.
Why is
right on
it
the
sitting down there?
Any complaints you have about that, tell Dee, she'll address it at the meeting tomorrow, because she's the one on the committee.
My understanding is, doesn't mean I'm correct, my understanding is that there is a suspension issue. That somehow or another it goes up and down when you turn the key on, except it's not going up and down when you turn the key on.
There's a button in the electronic box that sometimes gets tripped. All they gotta do is push it and it'll work fine.
But it's.
And they probably don't know that.
I don't know if they do or they don't, but we found that out here.
So I guess,
But I question why it wasn't taken to Fessler's.
Right.
so Dee, also, if you would make a observation that ambulance is down there, and why couldn't we have it now? If it's down there, they gotta drive it home, they may as well just drive it past care and
Right.
drive it to Fessler.
How did you think that the first day went, since y'all were sitting in on that?
I thought Judy did a great job.
Yeah, she did do a good job.
Everybody.
Damien did a great job.
Yes.
I will say, having just the
I didn't even realize you were there.
And it was
Yes,
nice to
you
meet
do.
some of the people.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was a
Yeah.
good smorgasbord of talent. So,
I thought you have some very good new people here.
Yeah.
The
yes.
two ladies from Cedar Rapids area, Chris, the guy that goes to
Michigan.
Peoria part-time. Well, he lives in Michigan, but he works in Peoria too.
Yeah.
Right.
He lives somewhere else. And then Daniel, the young man from South English.
Mhm.
You've got some smart people on there. Or Dee and I made a point to talk to the new folks that we didn't know were around here.
Oh, enough said.
Yeah. No,
We've got 6 critical care paramedics on staff, which is just absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. As long as they're on staff October 1st, I'll be
They-
thrilled.
Yeah.
They'll be uploading the Amanda system this week, so.
So,
It's coming along very good. I just want
Yes.
to say thank you for allowing us to hire extra people, because those extra people were godsends, putting those training pamphlets
Right.
together and the handbooks, so everybody had their own
oh,
copy.
do you have
The people
photos
that
of those
started.
people working? I'd like to see it.
Well, I don't have photos, I didn't
We
have
got
time to bring my
videos.
camera.
I
But I
thought,
don't know if you did see, we did post some of our EVOC class on our Jefferson County
I saw
I
that.
did saw that.
Facebook of.
It was a nice post.
Jack was very helpful too
Yes,
in
he
his.
was, yes.
Yeah, like,
Jack has a nice
so-
folksy way of telling you about stuff.
Yeah.
I think it went very, very well.
Yeah.
People were excited.
Yeah. I heard you had one guy that didn't pass the driving test on Saturday.
Yeah, that, his name would be, Damon.
No, no. You said you took the test.
Did you hear me say I took?
No, I think they got the driving test and the sleigh test mixed up.
That's right.
At any rate, you guys on the ambulance folks, you're off to a good start. You need to keep it that way, okay? Honest to goodness, you hired some good people.
Thank you.
Figure out that code.
Before we adjourn, so we need to change the amount.
Did we do it wrong?
Apparently, there's a different total that's printed on the form. So what is the total and why should we approve it if we don't know what it's for?
Essentially, the secondary roads department sent me, I don't know. Darcy said that they didn't total together like they normally do. So she put the total on the front.
Okay, got it.
Okay,
So the total amount to be approved is now $145,647.55.
Motion to approve.
Second.
so moved. All those in favor? So moved.
Aye.
I go.
Interesting.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved,
Second.
or whatever, yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so. what did we say next?
Thank you, Dr. Amanda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Marino. Thank you, Jacob.